My remarks follow on actually very usefully from those of the noble lady Baroness Finlay of Clondalk, and she's made some points I was going to make, so I won't make them, but I want to make some others. I do think that we should consider the interaction between the rather murky world of politics and the role of the Commissioner, and I wouldn't raise that issue if this role wasn't entirely, as I understand it, a political gift of the Prime Minister, effectively a patronage office. And we all surely know the problems that that can create. I mean, it's been rather vividly illustrated in recent months. So I just want to probe what happens if this goes wrong, or rather, how can we stop it going wrong in the first place? Because I do think that there is genuine concerns about a lack of accountability and transparency around the appointment process of the Commissioner. And so for that reason, I added my name to Amendment 126 in the name of the noble Lord Udny Lister, who is unable to be here today. But I think he's spot on to suggest, or one of his suggestions, is that the appointment is accompanied by a public statement by the Prime Minister, whoever the Prime Minister is, attesting to the suitability, the independence and the neutrality of the candidate. The Prime Minister is ultimately held to account for this appointment, and it's clear why they've made it, and so on, and so on. The Commissioner is a crucial role. Commissioner will have the power to both run and monitor this service. Yet the bill seems to leave the Commissioner's role open to self-definition, appointed by a Prime Minister, and that's it. We're all meant to trust it. And I don't want to be cynical, but I do think the question of independence and neutrality is important, because this is a controversial and polarising issue, and if we didn't think it was, we only have to look at the rather testy atmosphere every Friday in this House, let alone on the airwaves in between. So I think we owe it to the public that they feel that they can trust the process if this bill is made law. And I think that we have to ask, what happens if a partisan figure is chosen? How can that be addressed democratically? What is the process if there's a problem with the conduct of this Commissioner? Who is accountable for that? And that's one of the reasons I've added my name to Amendment 913A in the name of the noble Lord Wolfson of Tredegar, which seeks ways that anyone with concerns about the conduct of the Commissioner can make representations both to the Prime Minister, and the amendment seeks to probe the process by which the Commissioner can be held accountable for their conduct. And that takes me back to neutrality and independence. So let's consider, if we leave this appointment, as the bill seems to the Prime Minister, and they're given complete discretion about who to appoint, how will we protect the role from political controversy, from being seen as possibly partisan? The noble and learned Lord Faulkner won't want to compromise the role in that way, I'm sure, but therefore maybe some of these amendments, I think, will be helpful in insulating it from any accusation of bias.
Is she not concerned, as I am, that we are conflating expertise with bias? People think that because somebody is expert, that they're independent. It doesn't necessarily follow. There could be people who are expert, but at the same time they're very biased in terms of their approach to any subject.
I think that is absolutely self-evidently true, and in the real world. Let me just put it that way. So I wanted to just note that the present Prime Minister is himself not personally neutral. Personally. I don't mean personally. And indeed, he promised, as we now well know, Esther Ranson, that assisted dying would be made legal. Although, by the way, that was not a promise made to the British electorate, and it was not in the manifesto, but it was certainly made in public with much, singing and dancing. Would the Prime Minister's personal views influence who he chose as a Commissioner? Now, you might think that's far too cynical. I'm being grubby, right? That's fair enough, right? But I want to know, is there anything in the bill that guards against such grubby behaviour? Because if anyone thinks there's no grubby behaviour in politics, they need to get out more. The Commissioner, if the Commissioner is perceived... Oh, sorry.